ahead and fast forward it to about 2.5 minutes. That's usually where I start talking, because that's usually where YouTube decides they want to publish my live stream. Do. There's a mirror. You ever do that? Use your phone as a mirror on a live stream so everybody can see how vain you are? There's another thing I noticed too is when you watch people's videos, when their eyes aren't looking at the lens, if they're in a live stream and their eyes are looking down reading the chat, that's different. But if they're making a video, like not a live stream, just a regular form video, and their eyes are looking like that instead of up into the camera, they're looking at their own image. Just small talk. I remember thinking, it's like one of the things that people doing live streams or doing videos need to be cognitive of is that if you're talking to people, which is usually what we're doing when we're in a live stream or making a video, we're trying to communicate to people. And the best way to do that is to simulate eye contact, which is to look directly into the lens, because you're the person that I'm talking to. I'm not talking to the image on the screen. You know, it's just one of those things with technology and videography that people don't even consider. And it's actually one of the things I kind of don't like. And it's instinctive to look at the image on the screen when you're recording if you can see an image. But if you're doing like a reverse image, you know, with a front-facing camera, then you're not seeing the screen. If you have a camera focused on you, it's a lot easier just to look into the lens of a regular camera than it is to look into the lens on a cell phone camera. It's just quirky stuff here. But I think it's important if you're trying to communicate to people to make that clear. It looks like my screen just, for some reason, my screen is getting dimmer. It's not as bright as it used to be. I don't really like that. So I passed the 2.5 minute mark, and it says there's 3 people in here. I don't know what to believe. I've got a new vibration in my vehicle. That's not good. I have a road trip to take to make tomorrow. I hope that's just a low tire that I can fix. Yeah, that's new. I haven't checked the tire pressure in a couple of weeks. I just put brand new tires on this like a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago? Yeah, 4 weeks ago. You are a very cool bird. Oh, okay. And as a cool bird, I have to subscribe to you to become even cooler. Yeah, I don't think you're a bird. I guess you came in the long live stream because one thing about me is I don't entertain fiction. Because fiction is, at its very core, a lie. It's stuff that is made up. It's not true. And having a love for the truth and a disdain for lies, one of the things that I used to do was entertain or allow myself to be entertained with fiction. And I don't do that anymore. There's pleasure and laughter and stuff like that go on with it, but you're actually bypassing critical thinking when you do that, and you're allowing lies to have a place in your heart because you're allowing yourself to be entertained with a lie. And we really are living in a world that is full of deception. I guess this thing vibrating. Yeah, I'm kind of troubled that I got a vibration in my wheels now. I never had that. Yeah, no, I am not Palm Beach Pete. I used to live in West Palm Beach. Palm Beach County. I used to live in Lake Worth. I used to live in Palm Springs, which is in Palm Beach County. I'm just kind of wondering who all from my channel might pop in, if any. Of my subscribers. You know, YouTube says I have over 1,000 subscribers, but the amount of views and the amount of comments that come in by people that are repeat commenters or chatters, I don't even think I have 100 real subscribers. I think those numbers are fabricated. There's less than 20 people that come in and comment on my videos, or comment on my posts, or come into the chat for the live streams. Less than 20 regulars, or maybe close to 20. And then you've got people that may or may not comment or engage, and I don't see that there would be a whole lot of people that would be subscribed that wouldn't want to engage. But there are some that like to stay in the background and not be heard, just to listen and hear. And then there's some that get triggered, and they, without any just cause, they just hate me because of the things that I've said. And then they will patrol my channel and And that there's groups of those. Some of them may be doing screen recordings to try to catch me in some kind of a contradiction or catch me in hypocrisy, which, if you look for something, you'll probably find something. But I'm one of those people that doesn't try to lie and hide and cover up, and I don't censor my chat or my channel. You gotta own your stuff. So I have a scheduled live stream for tomorrow because I'm going to be on the road for quite a while in the afternoon. I figured that'd probably be a good time to do a live stream and just share my testimony. So that's what I planned for tomorrow, is to share my testimony of how I actually came to the faith in Jesus Christ. It wasn't what most people experience in what I call churchianity. One person in here is what it says. Well, probably not. Yep. I was on an attorney's channel the other day that was trying to make it sound like people that say all cops are bad are painting with a broad brush. And I used to think that too. I used to think not all cops are bad, it's just a few bad apples. And the more I learned about law enforcement and the justice system, I've kind of changed my opinion based upon knowledge. And make your judgments, which are righteous judgments, and not skewed by our own righteousness, because the righteousness of man is as filthy rags unto God. But I responded back to him with this. I said, all law enforcement officers are required to swear a solemn oath to defend, support, and protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Then, in order for them to have a career in law enforcement, they are required to enforce laws that are repugnant to the United States Constitution, thus violating the rights of the people and overreaching the boundaries by which the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is supposed to hold them to. And I said, so if they don't enforce those laws, they won't have a career. And that's just the beginning to say that, well, yeah, how can you be good if you swear a solemn oath and then you violate your oath? And then on top of it, I said, then you have, and I don't say that all cops are malicious. There's a difference between good and bad. Bad meaning evil, and good meaning holy or good or pure. You know, woe unto those that call evil good and good evil. Woe unto those that set darkness for light and light for darkness and bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You know, judge righteous judgments. And so if a man or a woman swears an oath and then they violate that oath, that is not good, that is evil, that is bad. And therefore, I don't say that they're all malicious, but they are all bad. But who isn't? Is there anyone that doeth good and doesn't sin? No. But with that, I also stated, then you have, they're entering into a very corrupt organization and agency. All the government agencies, especially police departments, are corrupt. If anybody's done any kind of looking into police accountability, official reports, court documents, any agency that has ever been investigated by independent journalists are found to be corrupt. Their corruption is laid bare, and they usually retaliate against those that expose their nakedness. Now, let's say somebody enters into a law enforcement agency, they swore an oath, then in their career, they see other police officers rolling through a stop sign, going 31 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, touching their phone while they're driving. They do it themselves, but yet they will, in hypocrisy, use that as a pretext to extort money from others that are not within their gang. We keep hearing that police officers held to a higher standard, but the word higher is actually synonymous with double if you consider what the standard is. They're held to a double standard. They're not subject to the same laws that they subject us to. And so then you've got a class difference in us versus them system, and that's not legal for them. But they don't care about the law. They're law enforcement officers, but they don't abide in the laws themselves. Welcome. And let's say you got a police officer that isn't going to keep his wheels rolling through a stop sign or go 31 into 30, and he's, which is kind of like trying to find a unicorn, right? And doesn't touch his phone while he's driving, but he gets called to a scene where another officer has creatively written his report, or he observes actual events and then is requested to sign off on what he's observed and lie about it, lie on an official report, perjuring himself to protect the liability of their brotherhood, which happens in every agency. Every single agency, it's common practice. Is that a good cop? No. But what if he doesn't want to do that? What if he just says, okay, I'm not going to lie on it, but what if he refuses to enforce the law? Let's say, and this is what I said in the comment, I said, if you have 99 bad cops and one good cop, but that one good cop does not enforce the law, that the 99 bad cops are breaking, then you have 100 bad cops. It's logic is what it is. And I don't think all cops are malicious, but they really do. Most police officers are non-malicious that enter into that career, that start off wanting to do good. They want a career that's got nobility. They want to get bad guys off of out of society, bring people justice. There are a lot of people that enter into law enforcement with that kind of a mindset. Same thing with the military. And even though your heart is in a noble place, once you enter into the positions, then you realize it's not that noble place that you were propagandized to believe. In fact, it's a pretty dark and wicked gang place, and there's dark corruption, and most of those people will either leave law enforcement or they will try to just skate by through until they get their retirement, because they want the benefits and the security of having a steady paycheck after working 20 or 30 years. Is that good? Is that good or is that evil? And of course the attorney got triggered, and I guess I get it. You want to argue, people want to argue, but he was trying to tell me that only the judiciary can make the judgments as to whether or not something is constitutional or non-constitutional. And I said the Constitution defines itself. You really do have to. I think I said even a child can read and understand phrases like "shall not be infringed," free speech, being secure in your possessions, your property, your papers. Hey, what's going on? Is that Dean? Yeah, it's hard for me to see it. Let's see if I can see it now. Wipe it out. Yeah, Dean. So I was talking to this lawyer in the comments of his YouTube channel, and I told him, I said, even a cop can understand these. I mean, even a child can understand these simple phrases. It doesn't take law school. I said, I think that's what I said. Something along the lines of a person has to get educated in higher levels of academia to learn that the Constitution doesn't say what it actually means. And I said, the authors of the Constitution also wrote many letters that, the Federalist Papers are some of those, that go deeper into the intent of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. So there's that. And then he started making stuff up, saying that the Constitution gives the authority only to the judiciary to decide what is constitutional and what is not constitutional. And I fact-checked him, and no, it does not give the judiciary the authority, which makes sense because, it was designed to have separate branches of government to balance power. They are supposed to be working, and each one of them has their own authority, has yield that authority over to the judiciary, where you get judges that get lifetime positions. And the judges will say, well, shall not be infringed. Doesn't really mean like shall not be infringed. So guns. What was it, 1933, when they first made the infringe against the right of the people to keep and to bear arms, automatic weapons, and then they continued down the road with more and more infringements because that was accepted. But it was actually in Marbury versus Madison decision in 1803 that gave where the Supreme Court usurped that authority, not given to them by the Constitution. They literally, in that decision, staked a claim that the United States Supreme Court has the authority to judge the Constitution and to interpret the Constitution, is what I meant. And who was that? Hamilton and Jefferson. I believe it was Jefferson, but Hamilton and Jefferson, if I remember correctly, they specifically stated that there should be an independent judiciary of the people that's not part of the constitutional judiciary to judge the Constitution, because it shouldn't be within the powers of one of the three branches of government to be the ultimate interpreter of the Constitution. Just some interesting stuff, but that's just a little insight into some of the conversations that I have with people online. But to me, it's kind of rewarding that an attorney will enter into a intellectual discussion and debate with me. I like it even more when I win. But if I don't win, that's cool too, because I learn. I'm not always in it to win it. I'm in it to learn the truth. And and I've been corrected so many times. I've found out that it's a fool that refuses correction. Because everything we think to be true is not always true. So that's an important thing to know. Hold on, I got somebody here. Oh, yeah, no. None of that stuff. You're borderline in spam with that. Actually, it's not borderline spam. It is spam. So I'm just going to tell you that that's the only thing that I actually censor on my channel is spam. So, yeah, please don't do that. Hello from Ohio. Hey, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods tomorrow. Ohio. I'm not going to be too far away from Sin Nasty. Sin Nasty. There's one for you, Dean. Sin Nasty. Ohio. I used to call it Cincinnati, but it's like, let me pull that apart a little bit because there's a little more to it. And I know, Dean, you like to work with phonetics and spellings. That's kind of cool. But sometimes it can be hard to understand what you're saying. Where are you heading towards? Right now, I'm headed towards that way. And I'm coming from that way. That's my standard answer if a cop pulls me over and he asks me where I'm going. I'm going to go that way. And he's, well, where are you coming from? That way. I don't answer those investigatory questions in any way that could cause me to give you evidence so that you can frame some kind of a non-crime into a crime. That's what they're trained to do. It's all in the training. It's not education, it's training. That was one of the interesting things that I considered more when I learned from James Freeman. I got quite a bit of an education from that man. I don't like him as a person just because he is a self-proclaimed bullshitter, and I've heard him bullshit a lot. I don't like that. I do not like lies. Especially when somebody's lying intentionally for entertainment purposes, whatever it is. But I'm unique, and some people want to come into my chat and say I'm a very cool bird. It's like, no, you're not. You are either a robot or a person. Man, my Star Power steering's going out. This is not cool. I just won an auction. for a replacement vehicle for my one that got wrecked. Oh, come on, man. Bank employees only. Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna have to pull up out of the way. Okay, that's gonna be a new. Uh-oh. That wasn't cool. Where are you heading towards? W crap. W crap. I don't know what that means. W crap. W crap. That's not good. Uh-oh. What is that? I'm going to have to turn this off just for a moment. Alrighty then. Oh, WKRP. Ah, see, that's how you're clever sometimes. uh, yeah, I know. I probably miss 30 to 40% of the things that you text you put out. I just don't catch them. I'm not as clever as you are, at least not to figure them out. But it is an exercise in. It's an exercise in the brain. Dang it. Let's see if this is the right one. It may or may not. Let's see. Oh, it's only one. It's not both of them. Darn it. Oh, probably because I didn't set it up. Okay. That sucks. I had to give up one forever. can still sleep with our watch here. Let's see if I can't get back to where I was without getting into the little fender buttons here. I had to pull way out of the way of the main traffic too, because all the seats were taken up. Wow, my power steering is not getting any better.
So, how you doing today?
I'm living the dream. How are you?
Good.
I won't share that dream publicly, though. The dream that I'm living is a dream that I only share with those that are in Christ, because it's kind of important for us. Did you check the fluid? Yes, I did. It's a 2009 Buick Enclave, and it's one of the common problems is the power steering pump goes out, and it's just not easy to access and not easy to replace and not cheap to have somebody do it. But I might end up having to do it myself. I don't know. I'm going to have to look up online and see what it's going to take. I've got most of the tools that I need. I just schedule the time to do it, and then being down a vehicle. YouTube strictly prohibits dangerous or distracted driving. Immortal Beloved, and they will terminate or suspend broadcasts if a streamer is caught interacting with chat or reading comments while driving. Or do you have one of them new fancy cars with PS power steering fluid? Oh, without power steering fluid? No, mine has power steering fluid. Yeah, YouTube has got a policy. Yeah, I'm going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure YouTube's policy is to abide within the laws of each state that the person is in. Like, you know, if you're violating the law, then that would be something. But it is interesting that here, just in this last week, I've had two people that have come in with that, and the one guy was like, I'm reporting you, and it's like, why would you do that?
All right, man, you're all set. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. If I haven't broken any laws and you just want to, you know, hopefully cause harm or injury to somebody else because you have some kind of a moral superiority complex, it just doesn't match with anything that's good. It's just an evil heart. It's an evil heart that needs to be regenerated, is what it is. You know, somebody needs to find mercy through Jesus Christ. So tomorrow, I've got a scheduled live stream for the road back, the travel back home from Sin Nasty. And I figured I'd put out my testimony. I have not shared my full testimony, I don't think. And I have a friend of mine that's been wanting me to put it out there so he can share it on his channel. Testimony of how I came to faith in Jesus Christ. I didn't go through any of the common rituals of churchianity, bow my head and close my eyes and raise my hands and repeat a prayer and invite Jesus into my heart and all of that stuff. You know, it was actually much more biblical how I became born again. I saw the time was waiting 4:15 today. Oh, it's supposed to be 4:15 tomorrow. 4:15 Eastern time, 3:15. And it might actually be a little earlier now that I think about it, because I was actually thinking Eastern time when I put, or I was thinking Central time when I put the time in. And I wasn't thinking to set it for the Eastern time, because that's where I should be, is on Eastern time. Yeah, coming into these tight parking spaces, power steering fluid is kind of, or no power steering is fun. It reminds me of back in the day before power steering. And yes, I am that many years old. I remember when we didn't even have power steering. That was fun. Alright, I just got to my second stop that I have to get out now, so I'm going to be cutting out here. Read the above message. Alan, okay, hold on. You gonna fall through on that? I don't know why people do stuff like that. I figured it out. Read the above message so they know you're driving. Alan? I don't see an above message from you, Alan. Okay, I usually try to keep it in, but yeah. Upstate New York, ADK. Why would you come into somebody's stream that you don't know and start doing things like that and railing accusations? It's interesting because that's one of the reasons that it's often misquoted, but God's words says, at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. And that was always regarding bringing an allegation or an accusation against someone, that it should never be received and accepted as true unless there are 2 or 3 witnesses. Because you have people like this upstate New York ADK who will just rail false accusations because he's got an evil heart and he hates men who he has seen, which means he hates God who he has not seen. But there's mercy to be found, but that's one of the reasons God says at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, so that those wicked men that will come in with false accusations, that their testimony alone won't stand in a place of judgment. And that's something that's never really presented in churchianity. They teach it as though it's some way to form sound doctrine, and that's not the context at all. Yeah, so Alan, yes, there are so many that's it's nothing for them to lie. Yeah, I know. But I pray for such an one. Wicked men. Anyway, I'm at my stop, so I'll probably see you guys next time. Or see your words on my screen and you'll see an image of me next time. Peace.